The 9th light body level. When you go to the 9th level of light body, you begin to understand the tonal language. You begin to recognize it, rather than simply be affected by it. These geometric shapes and patterns with which you have been working on the mental plane now have consistency become a language. Some people may capture hieroglyphics or Morse code, which are types of light 6th dimension languages. The Spirit is using these languages to transform the structure of the 6th dimension in a new standard appropriate to the 5th dimensional light body. You are beginning to embody the divinity. The move to 7th dimension can be activated, causing back pain or hips and a sense of density in the pelvic region. The 7th dimension structures are coming into line with the Supreme Mind of you. New Alpha/Omega structures are developing around the physical body, allowing a greater flow of energy. The etheric structures of the 5th and 6th dimension are coordinated through the line of the 7th dimension with the Supreme Mind to receive a new divine image of Adam Kadmon. It is possible that at that time you suffer changes in the body. They can be much higher or thinner, larger or even develop wings. They may realize that they have other ways beyond human, and begin to integrate non-human identities with human identity. This is the time to coordinate all levels that are part of you. You are translating for themselves the language of light and are aware of themselves in other dimensions, whatever model they use. You are aware of the crystal structure that interconnects all. You start to worry a lot less about what others may be thinking of you on a personal level. What matters is how you are expressing the Spirit at this time, every breath of air that inspires and every step you take. Who cares what others think? They also awake, as they are also going through the same process. For remember that this process is not a matter of choice. If you are incarnated, you are in the process of change. The pituitary gland continues expanding and producing more growth hormones. In some women can experience a deficiency in estrogen levels. They may feel exhausted, depressed and uninterested. Menstruation may become irregular or be changes in the flow. So when they start the transition to the 9th level light body, you will begin a radical change in the multidimensional they are. You are making real and manifest on this planet that are the Master. We see all of you as teachers. Each of you is a master. You came to this planet to overcome the limitations imposed by the separation. You have done a great job. Now the game is changing so that you really start to be what they are in all their amplitude. When we look at you, we know who you are, at all levels of existence. Do you have any idea of how much energy it takes to keep them with the illusion that is limited and separated from all? A huge amount of energy. Well, you do not need to pretend. All the bonds were loosened. You have all the permission and full support to manifest the divinity itself. Usually, there is a major setback at the beginning of 9th level light body and also the end of it. For the 3rd, the 6th and the 9th level, you go through a major re-evaluation. The 9th level can be one of the most difficult, because it is at this stage that you begin to surrender completely to the Spirit. You discover that you personally do not control anything. And they realize that never past a divine instrument. You are the Spirit in action. It is the Spirit that determines how much money you have or do not have. The way the professional life you are taking, or if you are going to get or not a job. The Spirit determines everything. You are a divine instrument. It is the dissolution of the ego, the final stretch towards awakening. This may be the most ecstatic experience and at the same time, greater suffering for which you will. It was to get to it that most people engaged over many lives. Still, reaching this threshold can be daunting. The ecstasy that awaits them on the other side of this passage cannot be described in human language. I'm channeling through this body now, but live in that state all the time. I'm never separate source, I am the source. This is what is offered to each of you, which does not mean giving up all levels of being. It is the 9th level that occurs this delivery in ecstasy. Well, to some extent, free will is an absolute truth, but on the other hand, is a complete illusion. It's what our friends of the Earth mission call disappointment. It is a vital part of the process of the body of light, because it means the final abandonment of the ego as you conceive. In our view, the mental, emotional and spiritual body, it is simple instruments of the spirit. They have no conscience. It is part of the illusion of separation, the belief that the ego has control. This is our point of view and you have every right to disagree. Right now, when most of you is on the 9th level light body, spirit is beginning to propel them toward awakening. Your identity is changing as well as the context in which they live. Let it happen. Surrender to it. It is the resistance that makes the most painful experience. Follow the spirit, every breath of air that inspire and every step they take. Let the scale that characterizes them manifest and you are exactly where you need to be with those who need to be doing and what they need to do at that given time. Fears linked to the struggle for survival dissipate. No longer important. When you express who you really are and what we came here to do, all the little illusions that pester lose importance and cease to be real. The fears may resurface, as you continue to live in this world, but you will already be able to put them aside. In the 3rd, the 6th and the 9th level you turn off the consensual reality. They realize that return to it is painful. In the 7th, the 8th and 9th level, you find that they are radiating light in a completely different way. The eyes of you seem very clear and different for others. They will approach you saying, "You look so happy." Remember that many people have panic surrender. Tell them, "I follow the spirit without hesitation. That is why I am happy and satisfied." I suggest you do the same. This is the simplest thing you can tell them. And that in fact it happens. Some of you may be surrounded by people who live the syndrome we call, what if? What would happen if the poles from traveling and we were stopped on Pluto? What would happen if we were dominated by some lizard species that wanted to keep humans in captivity to eat us? Often arise people to pester them with questions like that. Just stay centered in the spirit and know exactly what to say in these situations. On the 7th level, many people think they will rise to a higher level the next day. ASHTAR who will pick them up and take them into your ship away from here. This is because these people are establishing energy links between the self, which is the physical body, and which is the body of light, which corresponds to its future I in linear terms. Therefore, there is an urge to put his life in order. And it actually happens. The person tells you everything you ever wanted to tell others. It does everything you ever wanted to do. On the 8th level you know that will stay on this planet for some time and a new sense of purpose begins to invade them. They know they are here because they have something to do and it fills them with enthusiasm. On the 8th level you fail to enter and leave the body at all times. We see that many of the light workers have access to its multiple dimensions, but they do not get into these bodies. They are jumping from one side to the other. On the 8th level, they enter their bodies. And they feel more focused and calmer than ever. They know they are not crazy because they are centered and grounded in themselves. They become what was called humanity exalted as manifested an increasing portion of its range. When they reach the 9th level, they express their amplitude almost entirely, which makes them remarkable beings. On the 8th level light body, the higher chakras are open and active. The spiritual body already merged with the mental and emotional body, forming a unified field. The 8th chakra patterns are placed in order and energy fields begin to function differently. You are in contact with the Supreme Mind and the prevailing feeling that are connected to the Spirit all the time. While the 9th and 10th chakras continue opening, the 11th and 12th chakras are opened, and you bind to the Supreme Mind Christ. They begin to act from that Christ's quality of being, even incarnated on this planet. Able, initially, to enter and leave this state, you may find it a little uncomfortable to pass love condition, will and divine truth for a poor conceited idiot again. But this soon passes. At one point, after having crossed the threshold of awakening, you begin to act from the Christic level all the time. Some people prefer to stay in the Christic level and this will be the way of them here. Others connect themselves to the I Am Presence. If you start acting from that divinity level at some point of the 10th or 11th level, light body will become very difficult to maintain a human appearance. Really hard. In the 9th level light body, you will move into states of being wherever been. They will live the experience to embody the very truth of you, unconditional love, and the light and power that are inherent. The state, called the threefold flame, is in the heart of all. It is a flame that radiates to all dimensions. Most people generally appears more intensely one of the components of flame. At the end of the 9th level, begins an ascension process, which in general is very striking. The person's ego surrenders entirely and that process is extremely transformative. It is possible to begin to emit light. The last 3 levels of the light body constitute what we call spiritual levels. That's when all fields are unified, and 14 chakras are open. The energy fields are merged and you totally are attached to the Supreme Mind Christ at all levels of being. They are in permanent contact with the I Am Presence. The 10th light body level. On the 10th level, you begin to manifest the qualities of an avatar. This means they can be where they want and when they want. Teleportation, the apportation, and the demonstration part of this level of light body, because the person is fully aware of being one with the source and be all. When you are all that is, what you are recreating the universe in accordance with the ideas that make reality. On the 10th level light body, you are released from imprisonment and behave according to their own scope, in accordance with what we call the divine being, inherent in all. Are you in touch with everything? There is no leaf that falls on this planet without you know it, for you are the planetary consciousness. We would like you to understand that this means that the level of awareness depicts the path that leads to the deepest part of human consciousness and your human genetic consciousness. All this has to be integrated, along the way back to the physical. No one will stay afloat by etheric planes. You will have to bring all this back here. So what begins to happen when you come into contact with the Supreme Mind is the double tetraedros we talked about already switched sides and you begin to act in a unified field. The geometric shapes begin to move in a double helix. In the karmic game, you have a DNA only 2 strands, but the body of light, you have a 3 DNA strands or more. What makes the body form a 5-dimensional filament in the center? You begin to develop, within its energy structures, which we call vehicle Merkaba. Merkaba means chariot in Hebrew. The Merkaba is a crystalline light structure that allows them to pass through the space, time and dimensions, entirely in its entirety. The Merkaba has conscience. You can start working with it to travel to other source systems. From our perspective, move to the light body is only part of a much broader process. We all planes and dimensions returning to merge with the source of this universe, which then merges with other source systems, and so on, until you return to the one. This is a huge process. From our point of view, There is nothing more beautiful or magnificent than divine expressions that you will have to return. Some people will come back to the same source system. Others turn to another source system. And you are here to establish the links to all of these systems are based. Some people are simply here to take on the planet, making the switch to the following plans. This is the rise of all dimensional systems. You build this crystalline light structure from the plans in which they are, with the help of the Spirit. We're talking about 3 different functions: Angelica function, the Space Brotherhood, or extraterrestrial function, and the function of the Ascended Master. These 3 functions are set. At the time of the rise, the Space Brotherhood will link all the Merkaba vehicles being built in their own fields, to link the entire planet, forming planetary light body, literally building the vehicle for this planet ascend. The Earth will be removed from the 3rd dimension and this dimension shall be extinguished. The Ascended Master Axis function as a set of guides and navigators. They are here to work with the coordinates and take the system to a multi-stellar system. These masters serve as browsers. Many of the angelic pass to the body of light, but others will return to pure energy form. As angelic incarnate, our energy is the fuel of this process. On the 10th level of light body, you begin to consciously live up to its own axis. You have all DNA codes to perform all functions. The question is simply to know that part of the process the Spirit wants you to play this time. None of these axes is more important, better or more advanced than others. Fully exercise the function assigned to them.